to call this meeting to order. Welcome to all my fellow social isolationists. We have deep cleaned the room. Everybody has washed their hands. We have less than 10 people in the room. And we do have a setup so that we've always had the setup so that you could watch the meetings live. Today, in order to make sure that we have public access, since we can't fit too many more people in the room, we already have 6. You can call in with any questions that you may have, and that number is 236-4730. That's 236-4730. And we have a privilege of the floor, but we have no one here.
Right, but I did have 2 questions from Linda Coleman,
Okay.
which she sent last night after I had sent you your packets for the meeting. So I just wanted to let Linda know that I'm handing out copies. She wanted you to look at a bill which is currently before the legislature regarding municipalities being allowed to collect from operators of local room rental. So this is again, it's a bill that's currently being considered. And if you want to look at it and discuss it at the next meeting, I told Linda that I would give you a copy of the bill.
And who is Linda?
Linda Coleman is the lady.
She's on the board of directors.
She's on the board of directors of Windsor Hill.
Okay, okay, and she usually attends.
And she usually attends our meetings.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And she also had a question about a zoning question regarding electric vehicles, which I need to get back to her on. And when I respond to her, I'll copy you on the email. But I just haven't had a chance to look at it. So,
Okay.
Linda, we will get to that.
Linda, we will review this, and I think we will be discussing it at our next meeting as opposed to trying to make a decision on this today. So thank you for your input.
Yep.
The first thing we have on our agenda is a coronavirus update. Chris, are you here to do that?
I can do that. So the main thing to understand about our operations is that it's very fluid and things literally change by the hour as far as what the state is doing, the mandates, the requirements, the directives. So to kind of summarize it and keep it simple at the local level, we follow the direction of the state of New Hampshire. They have tremendous resources out there for anybody from unemployment to if you want to volunteer to if you want to support a nonprofit. It's all on newhampshire.gov website. So that's where all of the current drilled down information is. And as far as our operations are concerned, I want to commend our staff for being so flexible in these times. Right now we're working in teams of 3, 7 days on, 24/7, and then 7 days off. So we're only using 6 employees, and that's teams of 3. And everybody's bent over backwards and not one complaint, and we're just doing what we signed up to do. So,
and this is
kudos to them.
12 hours physically here and 12 hours on call. Is that right?
Pretty much, yeah. The way I have my team set up is we're available for calls 24/7. So, there's always somebody here, and the 3 of us are responsible for all the calls. We're not necessarily in the building all the time. Sometimes we run home for a shower and dinner or whatever. But the way I have my team set up is we're all responsible to handle any calls. With that being said, we're lucky that our call activity is down to a slow crawl, knock on wood. Hopefully that will continue. But one of the trends that we are seeing is we are getting a lot of second homeowners in town. And
what would you call that, Chris?
I would say,
Is it equal to ski weekend?
no, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. But I can see that this is kind of the calm before the storm. Because what we're seeing in New York City is people are starting to panic, they're starting to leave the city. So what's going to happen is we're gonna see an influx of people in this town from the urban areas. That's my prediction. And we could end up at the end of this like a vacation week, minus the hotels and lodging. There's still currently 3 lodging facilities that are open to the public right now, which is something that we may have to revisit at some point. We've had 2 medical calls this week, which is
Related to the
it's a
COVID?
far drop from our normal activity. However, both medical calls were the same people staying in a hotel. And each medical call we get can take the ambulance out of service potentially take the ambulance out of service for 4 to 5 hours through decontamination and staff and things like that. So that's something that we're gonna have to look at.
Was this for coronavirus related
No,
symptoms?
No,
No.
but still, we have to do our whole,
Right.
So, that's something that we may have to look at if these hotels that are open start getting filled. We don't know.
So for the record, what's open? Is it Snowy Owl?
No, Valley Inn, Town Square, and Village Condos is open. I don't believe they're renting too much to the public, though. I think that just means their office is open. And I was under the impression that the Birches were closed. I have to go back because the latest report we got was that they were open. And I don't know if that was just oversight in the report we got, but we actually go out and visit the hotels to see what their plan is every few days.
So Golden Eagle and Black Bear are both closed?
Have shut down to the public. Actually, the
Right.
Black Bear is shutting down April 1st.
Okay,
So that's encouraging for our call volume. But it's important to know that all of these resources that are deployed by the federal government and the state government are based on population. And it's basically registered, they don't use the registered voter list, but that's basically how they count. So it's kind of, this virus is gonna be a moving target because New York has gathered all of this infrastructure to deal with their population, but as it gets worse, their population is going to get less, and it's going to come to places like ours. So that's going to be a challenge. Spear Memorial Hospital has a great influx program, or I forget the word. Intake, but a surge. They have a great surge program that's all ready to be deployed. They haven't had to use any of that yet, but again, I think this is the calm before the storm. I think just listening, and I'm no medical professional, but listening to the professionals, we have a long way to go before.
yeah.
And we're gonna
Spear,
see a
I think,
huge
has a
difference.
tent outside the emergency
Yeah.
room in case somebody shows up with symptoms so that they don't go into the emergency room.
Right, so we have a protocol with our ambulance, and that changes by the hour, as far as if we bring somebody in. And I believe that they don't let anybody in the building until they're screened.
Right,
So there's somebody manning all the doors.
right.
So that's where we are right now. And, my advice to anybody that is considering coming up here, just stay at home, as to avoid that moving target that we're trying to deal with.
I think we've seen a first round of people who've come up here. And what they've realized is, with lack of things to do except to walk around the valley on a nice day, is they've got 3 kids, a dog, 1 big TV, and 900 square foot. So after 3 or 4 days, it gets tiring and they go back to the larger home where it's more comfortable and they can, let's hope.
Let's hope that's the trend, and but it will, if it gets to be like a vacation week where we're gonna be stretched real thin. And not just us in town, but the whole regions, hospitals, because all it takes is somebody out hiking and they twist their ankle and need an ambulance. It has cascading effects through the whole system.
I'm on the board at Spear Hospital, and I would just mention that on Monday morning early, when we had a meeting, there had been no positive tests at Spear that had shown up. By Monday afternoon, there were 2. They were not admitted to the hospital. They were sent home and told us to self-quarantine for 14 days.
Are those the only 2 you're aware of? Or has it only been those 2?
That's the only 2
But
I'm
that,
aware of.
again, that changes
But it
by
changes.
the hour.
Yeah.
It's,
And the other thing that, I find myself reminding people about is the test results that are being reported right now
are from,
are from
A
at
week
least 5 days
Yeah.
ago. Spear was saying it takes 5 days to get a test result. So we're seeing what the situation was 5 days ago
right.
or whatever. And so we're not really current as to what exactly is going on.
That's a great point because, people will call here and say, is the coronavirus up there? And our answer is, it's worldwide. It's
Service, but we're very good at that. I know I've been to the Coyote at least twice, but we also have the Mexican restaurant is open. I got a great jigsaw puzzle from Wendy by calling her up and saying, can I get a jigsaw puzzle? So she will open up if you have jigsaw puzzle needs.
Jugtown does curbside now.
Jugtown does curbside as well. So please.
Another thing, and it's common sense, please, when you go shopping, only buy what you need. There is absolutely no shortage of products far and wide, but there's no shortage of anything in the entire chain.
And that was reiterated in the emergency management call
Yes,
today.
yes,
Emergency management call
yes,
today,
yes.
that the store owners are telling the state emergency personnel that, the store owners are telling the state emergency personnel that, there's plenty of product, as Chris said, but they're just having trouble keeping it on the shelves because it sells out within a couple of hours. Overbuy.
There are also several grocery stores in the area that have senior hours or hours for people that are compromised. So I took advantage of that on Tuesday morning and went shopping at 6 o'clock in the morning. But at that time, I was certainly able to get all of the things that I needed, and without overbuying and that type of thing. So I would encourage our seniors and compromised folks who have to do some grocery shopping to take advantage of that. The main thing is that at that time of the morning that the store has been cleaned, and it's the cleanest it's going to be all day. So it's a good opportunity to do that.
And always check in with your neighbors to see if they need anything. We have kind of an aging population of permanent residents here in town, and reach out to them, see if they need anything at the store, if they can't make it, or if they're leery about going in, if they're at risk. Certainly reach out to them, and I would invite them to call the town office if they need anything, and we can certainly arrange something for them.
Now, there's several people in town who have volunteered to do that, so.
And we've had a question about quarantining the valley, and that's not within our power at this point, and we're not a shelter-in-place state by state order yet. So we'll follow, like Chris said, we'll follow whatever state guidelines come out, but at the present time, we're not doing that.
Do we have a list or of people who may need help that we're systematically checking on those folks?
We do not, but we can develop that, and we can certainly invite people if they want to be on that list, that we can certainly do that for them. It's a small enough community, Rich, that
Right.
we kind of know.
No, I know you guys
Yeah.
know, but I was wondering
Yeah,
if
but
there
it's
was
a good idea.
systematic, it's Tuesday, let's check in with everybody, see if they're doing okay.
The other thing that I had suggested to Mark is that perhaps on the week that the selectmen are not meeting, there could be, once we get our system set up, our meeting system electronically, that we could have basically a town hall about what's going on from the perspective of our public safety.
We could certainly do that. My only caution would be that it just be live and not recorded in case somebody goes back and watches old information. Like I say, it changes so fast.
Oh, yeah,
So-
absolutely, and
Good
that's,
point.
yeah,
We'll set that up for Wednesdays at 3:00 and then, and do it in the off week between the selectmen's meetings.
Right.
And provide information.
that'd be great.
We'll just do it with Chris and Dave and myself or whoever.
I have Tim Smith on board, one would be patched into the meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
that's fine.
I just texted you.
Yep.
Because
Good, thank you, Judy. Hi, Tim, you're on.
Okay, thank you.
Did you
You're
have a
good.
question, Tim, or you just wanted to listen?
No, I have a question.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Hey, let me turn off my YouTube. Yes, Mark, I'm trying to work with the Forest Service on possibly shutting down the access road, as we've had an amazing number of people coming up into the ski resort, and we're having quite a few potential safety issues, and also I could see a potential for vandalism, as we've already seen. So I would ask that the selectmen assist us in writing a letter to the White Mountain National Forest requesting that the access road be shut down to non-authorized vehicles.
are you talking, Tim, about from the sign?
Jump through.
Yeah, it would be from the triple I split.
Right, okay,
I would support that, Tim. This is Chris.
Yep.
okay. Let's see if we can get that done, Mark.
Thank you, guys. I'll call back if I have another question, but thank you very much. This was
Okay.
great.
All
Okay,
right,
thanks,
thanks.
Tim.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, the Forest Service is already shutting down stuff in the southern part of the country. They're shutting down campgrounds because they are seeing an influx of people from urban areas using the campgrounds. So they have actually shut some down, so they may be open to that.
I think whole parks have been national parks, and I think a couple of forests have been
They shut down the national parks Tuesday night, I think.
Tuesday, the parks, but I think I noticed a couple of forests on that list, but not the White Mountain. We're a little different because they're integrated with commercial property as opposed to some of those huge forests out west.
Okay, we'll talk about the wording of that at the meeting.
Anything else on this subject?
Nothing that I have.
Alrighty, so now we're gonna have the changing of the guard. Is what's
Changing of the
going on?
guard if you want. Brooke's upstairs, so
Okay.
if you want to
Thanks, Chris.
send her to
Thank you.
Trying to the Inquisition,
Yeah,
Yeah, one at a time.
one at a time.
Buffer.
I just want to save Jim for the last part, because then we can call Josh and have that discussion on the engineering
Yes.
services and.
Sure.
Hi, Brooke.
Hi, so I was just there because I couldn't hear the meeting upstairs with the things buffering, so I really wanted to hear what was going on.
Oh, okay.
We're working from home for the most part. We have, I've been coming in once or twice a week. Sandra's been coming in once a week, and so is Eric. We also have those 2 part-timers that have not been working. Actually, we did have Billy come in one day to clean some stuff, but so we're still moving along with trying to get the brochure ready. I've had other meetings with our with the guidebook meeting. We have one tomorrow morning to try to get the guidebook launched and on target. We're just moving along as normal for planning for summer until we hear differently.
Mhm. And how are you doing your meetings, by Zoom or?
Yep,
Or, yeah,
yes, we'll be doing a meeting tomorrow morning by Zoom that will include several people. But we're getting really close on the guidebook, and it's really exciting, so we're hoping that we can get that launched by June.
okay. And everybody's healthy.
Everybody's healthy,
Great. It's great
and
news.
we're hoping to keep it that way,
Okay.
yes.
Just FYI, I believe the Historical Society is gonna go with July 26th
Okay,
for the Victorian Day.
July
I
26th.
think, although we were talking August,
Yeah,
they shifted to, I think, the last weekend
okay,
in the last, I guess, Sunday. Last Sunday.
so it's just gonna be a one-day thing?
Yes.
Because I know she was talking for a while about maybe a weekend or,
I think things, that may be, I think that may be the weekend, I'm sorry, I should review. That would have the Red Cross Blood Drive that the Historical Society is sponsoring. I
yeah,
think that's like on Saturday.
yeah, we have that in our calendar.
Right, I think the next day, that may be what you were thinking
Oh,
of
okay,
in terms of, the actual Victorian Day is just one, a set of hours during one day. They've changed
yeah,
again.
maybe it's been refined.
Okay,
Great, well, thanks, so July 26th.
yeah, and I will double check that. Correct. I believe Reggie's gone, I don't know how she escaped, but
Yeah. Great,
she's not around.
Okay.
so do you want me to go get someone else?
Yeah, if you just have,
Jim.
Jim come up, he's in his office.
Okay,
Want to have Judy call down to him.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and go through
We'll go
minutes.
3 minutes and
Yeah.
whatever take.
Great. so nothing else? No other-
No, I'll take care of that non-public thing that you know.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, so, let's go to our minutes of the 2/12 regular meeting.
Did we decide to go with it as written?
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it.
Rich, I do have your edits that,
And your reds were fine with me.
Right, those, I didn't include the edit for the first part,
Right.
and, unless someone wants to go over those now, I could just shoot them over an email, they're minor, about a dozen, just minor.
yeah,
I think you already did.
Well, that was the part, that was
Yeah,
all
okay.
but one part of the discussion.
Yeah,
So.
Okay.
Otherwise, you got mine.
I got the other one, so if you want to send me those other ones and I'll make those and,
Yeah. Yeah.
So can I have a motion to approve the 2/12 regular meeting minutes as amended?
I move.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And then we have the workshop meeting. This must have been an evening meeting, yes?
yes,
When
it
when
was.
Joe was
Yeah.
explaining the project.
Presentation.
The only thing I saw on that on line 46, it's all three of the town's current water wells. Plural.
And I had just a couple right after that, line 55. I would change unless to accept. And 59, I think may need a comma after limited to. The way the sentence is structured.
Mhm.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Can I have a motion to approve the 2/12 workshop for the bond information meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
And I'll second that motion.
all in favor?
All right.
And then we have our 3:10 regular meeting, which took place after the town meeting. Any corrections or additions to that?
No.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
I shall move so.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Budget,
Okay, do you want to talk about public works first?
we can talk about public works first. Did you wash your hands before you came in?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm sorry, it's my responsibility to ask these things, you know. Yes,
That's okay.
okay.
And I didn't touch anything on the way over. So,
Just wait till she starts checking under your fingernails.
No,
Everyone, hands out.
We, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we work with Mark and we've got a schedule. So right now we've kind of got a couple of teams, if you will, and we're trying very hard not to get people, you know, crossing through those teams. I mean, you know, if somebody gets sick, obviously we'll have to. So we got a skeleton crew. We've got it scheduled around basically keeping all the dumpsters, keeping up with all the dumpsters. And I think we'll find that the tonnage is up a little bit for a period after the mountain shuts down, you know, like would typically be. So, but other than that, I'm happy to report that everybody is healthy at this point in time. And things seem to be going good. We had that lovely little snowstorm.
Snowstorm.
The weekend looks like we're gonna get something, Saturday night into Sunday, so we'll see. Guys I'll keep the same guys in plowing that I had the last storm, so the other guys that, even though they're technically off, but I'll bring those guys in. And other than that, just trying to keep up with things.
Do you anticipate for any of the things that you need contractors for, that there's gonna be some issues in getting materials or labor or that?
Not at this point, because we're at a point, it's a good time of the year because it's we're in the shoulder season. And we can start, as the snow melts, we can start to see things we need to do, but we can't do them yet, so.
Anything else for Jim?
No, just with regard to the trash, I take it there's no problem delivering it
Not as of
up to
yet,
Bethlehem, right, still?
not as of yet. So we'll have
No, we wouldn't anticipate there
And that would
being
be an
any
essential.
problems because it's outside, it's
Yeah.
essential.
Right.
They have their protocols in place at the way station up, at the scale house up there, so there's no physical contact with the drivers anymore or closeness, so they've got those worked out and in place, so. And there's nobody else up there to be in contact with, there's no need to be, so it should be fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right,
So I'm gonna have Jim stay, and while we go over the budget, I'm gonna have Josh call in.
okay. Revenue and expenses. Anybody have any questions about this?
I would assume the legal deals with negotiating the ice arena,
Correct. Yes,
and the insurance is always up at the front of it.
yes. And that is the last insurance payment that we're anticipating to be made until July, so the payment schedule will start to catch up percentage-wise a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we'll have another bump in July.
But we're gonna have some impact on some of our revenues.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, again.
Yeah.
We're fortunate that it's the shoulder season, but
we're running, I think Judy told me, about 5,000 behind on total collections in rec and parks right now between the two departments. From what we normally are at this point in time. We're actually doing okay motor vehicle registration wise. We're continuing with the online registrations, and so maybe a little bump because people are being allowed to wait if they don't want to go in or whatever, but we'll see how that goes. And public safety is actually right where we would project that they would be given the ambulance call.
Okay.
volume. So we're doing okay.
all right. Rich, any questions?
No, okay.
Okay. All right, Mark, tax anticipation note, Fred?
Yeah. Hold on, just let me get Josh going. Hi Josh, this is Mark. Do you wanna try to come into Zoom meeting? Okay, we'll talk to you in a minute.
Okay, I'm gonna try to spin this, so at least,
So have a reverse camera on that?
no,
Um,
good try.
On the tax anticipation note, I'd like to do the paperwork for that.
How much are we gonna need?
Well, we always do it in a line of credit, so we never
Right.
use more than we actually need for cash flow, but I'd like to get a line of credit of 500,000. That's about 1/4 of our billing that we would anticipate doing.
Did we do these last year?
We haven't done one in.
No,
10
I'm
years.
wondering, why are we doing one?
Well, I'm just concerned that when we send out the bills, that the response, usually we are at 85 to 90% response rate in collecting bills. I'm just worried that given the current economic situation, that people will be slower. I'm not anticipating that we'll have at the end of the year, that we'll have a high delinquency rate, but it just may come in differently, given that if people are out of work or whatever reason, I would just rather have the paperwork done, so that we have the line of credit in place. We don't have to take any of the money if we don't need it.
We have another check
Hey Josh,
where we would have.
Hey, Josh,
I can, I'm gonna try to get this a little louder and I'm gonna spin, that's at 100% now. I'm gonna spin it around so you can see the selectmen, so bear with me as you don't get dizzy.
Do we have another checkpoint here? In other words, if we sign the paper, we'll say, you gotta come back and talk to us.
oh yes, absolutely, I won't use any of the money, and
Right.
we won't even sign the paperwork probably for another meeting or two.
Okay.
And we can always start the process if
And
it
it's a
looks like
line of
things are.
credit.
And it's a line of credit, so
Okay.
anytime we
Okay,
take
can you?
anything out of the line of credit, I will email you like I've done in the past. And just let you know, hey, we need to take 100 or whatever. But we still have, the school payments are not gonna change and some other large payments are still gonna be due. So I would just rather have this in place and be in front of the curve, because if other towns are having to do this later, I just rather do that, if you're okay with us.
Is the, have you heard anything, any anticipation of the state allowing people to put off paying property taxes?
It's being discussed, but there's no decision
Nothing
at
beyond-
this point.
nothing beyond
It's been
discussion.
proposed.
Right, I suspect.
The question right now is whether or not the governor can do that by executive order, or whether it's gonna take legislative.
Right,
But there are right now, one, that all interest on property taxes that's currently accruing would stop. And that there'll be some moratorium on the payment of all property taxes for some period of time. So, again, that's why I think it's prudent to just have the line of credit available, because it does take a week or two with the bank to get the paperwork done. I just don't want to fall.
No, it
behind.
makes sense to me, but how are we sitting with undesignated fund balance?
We're doing fine. We
Yeah,
have,
this is,
it's more preventative
yeah, no, it's
than
preventative.
everything else.
self
It's not, yeah, it's not.
We haven't had to do this in 5 years.
Right,
Yeah, we
will.
and we can't use the undesignated fund
No, we
balance.
are. We are using it as cash. We're
That's our-
using it as our balance, as our
Right.
checkbook
That's our check.
balance. Yeah.
Josh, can you hear everybody? You can.
Okay. Yeah, I can't hear him.
Can't hear you very well.
we can all gather around.
But we're not supposed to.
I know. For some reason it was,
Maybe if I, hold on one second.
Plus, I would also note on this issue, I believe the bill.
Second.
Plus, I would also note on this issue, I believe the bill moving through Congress does include funding for local.
Yes, it
I'm
does.
sure we're not
but on
gonna
a
get
reimbursement.
buckboards, and I
Right.
think we have a great back, we've got a great safety net without
Right.
this. But having this, I don't see if there's any problem with letting this go.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I just
absolutely. I
wanted to
would
get
agree.
those 1, 2, so let me.
How about now, Josh?
Can you hear
A little bit better.
So you're whispering.
Yeah,
But it was fine.
he's yelling.
He's just because we don't have it's only coming through the speaker
What
on
was
here.
coming through before?
We've never done the Zoom before, so.
Oh, but he was loud before, wasn't he?
I thought so.
I don't.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else can we do?
This is up as far as it can go. And
No, let's see, we're gonna try to move you from the speaker on the computer to the speaker on the television. So hold on just a sec.
Maybe if you try muting the computer.
Is there an input? Maybe do a video.
that's as high as it can go right
Just
now.
kind of keep talking while we're doing this, Josh.
You just want me to keep it running?
Yeah, just.
Yeah, running commentary, yeah.
Just whatever I can
Oh,
find.
there it is.
There
That'll
you
work.
go.
That's
Is that
better.
better?
Yeah.
Much.
All right.
All right.
Whatever that'll do.
That'll be.
So we are gonna skip down to,
You need a motion for you to do that.
Almost,
we are gonna skip down to Mark,
yes.
which item?
Item number 9. Item number 9 on the agenda.
Okay, okay.
And you have a sheet that I included in your packet. And Josh, this is the one that I sent to you that has the list of projects. These projects, not specifically these projects, but these types of projects were covered in our initial RFQ. So we're looking now at whether or not how we want to proceed with the specifics. And one of the things that's been a big thing is the road repaving project, which is from just the classification work, and how that ties in specifically to the Northern Borders work and the grant application for the Northern Borders. So how do you want to just go down this list, Margaret, and talk about each one of these things? Do you have specific input? Do you want Josh to start? How would you like to handle it?
Well, Josh has obviously got to think about this.
Oh, yeah,
Some
yeah.
prices, correct?
Well, no, yes, what we're doing here is we're agreeing that this is the scope of work that we want Josh to look at. And then Josh will go back and put the numbers to these projects. We'll come back at the next meeting. We'll come back at the next meeting. Cost test, and then we will say, yes, we want to do this project. We want to hold off on this, however you want to do it. Okay?
Josh, why don't we just go down through the list and see if you have any questions? Design work, road design on Valley Road to Tecumseh Road, Snowsbrook Road to Village Road. For those of you that are watching, this would be paving from Triple I Road up past the Welcome Center, left, going down to where the Valley Inn and the Silver Fox is, turning left again, and then going down to Village Road, which is our main entry road to Town Square.
Right. And this project was specified because section of this repaving, right? And then we had a section of Snow's Brook Road that's in very rough shape that we really need to address. So this was a high priority section, and we already had part of it planned out. And we also have had Brock look at this and give us some cost estimates, which we just needed additional engineering to make sure that that was accurate numbers.
Right, and I think we have some plans and research we've done before that we can get to you guys. That will save you a bunch of time and effort.
Yeah, that'd be very helpful, just to outline the distance, exactly where those locations are. I did some research today, driving with Google Maps and going as we're trying to get an understanding of the area. Obviously, I've been to the area, but just understanding of what these particular roads are. But knowing the specific locations of the start and end, I know it's a loop for the most part, or it's loops. And also, is it just a paving project, or are we reconstructing roads project?
I think it's probably worth a trip for you to come up here and walk through the project with Jim and Mark, with the plans, because there's a whole
Northern Borders project, because most of this road repaving would include increasing the width of the road and the integration of a pedestrian bike path. We're tying it into the Northern Borders grant application, at least that would be our intent. And so we could potentially recoup some of the cost of this work through the grant.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I think some of the portion of the cost of the road, I think when we go back to the grant application, when we're looking at the consistency of what the application should be, it should be for one particular system. So maybe not the roadway reconstruction, but the portion of the road that's associated with the bike lanes going to the pavilion bathhouse. That all stuff, it all works with a recreational trail work, but having one consistent all over the place, I think would be very good. So having it be a supplement to what you're planning to do for these roads makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, okay, good. Good.
So the next item, I think there's a typo at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
It should
it's
say
just not road.
So
Yes,
it's
the new
Corcoran
road.
Pond Trails and the pavilion bathroom structure in the vicinity of the pond. Mark, you've had some meetings with someone who says we have a very good shot at this Northern Border
Yes.
program, and also that it may be possible to integrate it with other programs to give us credit for things that we've done already.
Yeah, Josh, so I'm sure you probably know, LaMontagne, he's one of the economic development people for Northern New Hampshire. We've met with him to review just the concept of the application for Northern Borders, because he works with that program. Plus, he also works with the EDA. And he pointed out, as we briefed him on this concept, that the potential for also applying for an EDA grant, because all of this trail work, he said that our EDA chances would also go up. Plus, we can use the EDA money, any grant money that we receive from them, as a match for the Northern Borders. And it's the only federal program, is my understanding, the Northern Borders program is the only one that you can use federal dollars to match federal dollars. So we could potentially increase from just 50% to even more on the dollar. So, okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
So,
and the scope of that area is what?
The scope?
The Cochran Pond and trails and bath house. What is the scope of work there?
It would be new trails all the way around the pond, and potentially some out towards the national forest on the other side, on the east side of Valley Road. But it's mostly development of new trails around, and then the construction of a bathhouse pavilion, some kind of structure that includes bathrooms by the beach or near the beach, because right now we don't have a lot of public restroom facilities available in that part of town. And this add-on to trail improvements that we make between Snowsbrook Road and the dam along Village Trail that runs right along Snowsbrook. We're going to be starting that project as soon as the weather allows us this spring. That money is already funded and the contractor's under contract and we're ready to go.
Great. Has there been any sketches of where these trails are going to go, or any background information that can be shared?
I can provide that when you want to come up, and if you want to look at the road project, we'll give you all that information electronically. What was I just going to say? Oh, and this also includes signage and wayfinding, and we have a family of signs that we've identified that tie into our entrance sign. And so we've already selected locations for those signs, et cetera.
Great.
So, Mark, would I be correct in saying these first three things are what we need to be working on right now? Because the
That's
application has to be in on May
May
15th.
15th. And
they are not saying they're gonna change that application date. So
Yeah.
those are probably the most
critical.
things to work on at this time. Okay, the rest of the list is something that is necessary, but it's kind of after we finish the first three, we would get on with those. Looking at a road inventory and classification work for the remaining roads. Looking at our facilities and what needs to be done with those. If the planning board
And
has
that's on
some
call.
need, that's kind of an on-call thing. So the first three are the critical, and the other things are ongoing work to help us plan for the future.
Sure. I think I'll address it in those ways as well. So what I'm thinking at this point in time is, I think I'll address it in those ways as well. So what I'm thinking at this point in time is, I'll get a scope and fee. Well, first of all, we need to come up there and get an understanding of the trail networks as well as the road reconstructions that are outlined in 1 and 2, as well as the bathhouse facility, so I can share that information with Stuart from Alba, so that we can bring all of that in to the conversation that goes into the application for the Northern Borders Grant. My gut feeling is that I will prepare, or Stuart and I will prepare 3 scopes of work for you. The first one will be the efforts associated with the Northern Borders Grant. But additional to that, and also complementary, I would prepare a scope of work for a schematic design and estimate phase for both the roadway reconstruction outlined on number 1 and the trail and pavilion efforts outlined in number 2. That way, those pieces of information can be utilized within the Northern Borders Grant. We'll have some cost estimating that will be included as well there, so that we will have a somewhat refined plan of what we want to include with up-to-date estimates for that grant application. Visuals are always helpful. Something that looks like it's well on its way is always helpful. So that early schematic design phase is something that I think is important to include when we ultimately submit that grant in May.
I think that's absolutely, Bino talked about that. He talked about the fact that we had the pedestrian study already done. And that if we tie our grant application and the work that we're planning to do specifically to the pedestrian plan, that's really gonna strengthen our application. Because that plan puts us well ahead of what they typically see in the grant applications as far as planning. We've already done a lot of that work. So this will, plus the fact that we're already improving the village trail and we can tie into that so that this is like a phase 2 from the village trail work. That also strengthens the application because we're already doing.
It shows your current personal or community investment in the process anyway, independent of whether the money has come in or not.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else that the board is expecting or wants him to look at during, think, 2020 as a whole?
I think let's get this project resolved to see if it works between us and you guys to see if you're within our scope of what we're looking for.
Okay.
Because
That's a good approach. Yeah. All right.
And once we get going on the grant application and we get clear of May is a good time of year to be, in current circumstances, hopefully May is a good time of year to be starting to focus on those other 2 particular projects. One being the roadway inventory. So once we get clear, I think, of the northern border grant application going out, we can start the conversation, sit down and take a look at what roads are we inventorying, which ones are the town's responsibility, and which ones are private roads, and what do we want to include. And then have Stuart get together along with myself to discuss the facilities and start coming up with an action plan for those 2. But I would recommend that we get clear of 1, 2, and 3, which it seems that that's your priority as well. Get that Northern Borders grant out, get a schematic design completed for the roads and the pavilion and trails. And then once that's out, we can start talking about the next steps for those projects and the next projects.
Okay.
Great.
Good. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Super.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Josh.
Thank you very much.
This worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yep, I think
I
we're okay. We're
my
gonna.
family thinks I'm yelling.
We'll be refining.
We'll improve.
The methods here as we go, but looks like we're gonna have to do this for a while anyway. So, but
Sounds good.
But yeah, thank you for joining us, and we appreciate it. If you want to email me a couple of dates in the next week or 2, Jim and I will make arrangements to be here.
Sounds good. That's the next step.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Talk
Josh.
to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Wash your hands.
Bye.
Okay, calendar review.
Yeah, we have,
Question mark.
well, yeah, there's a whole bunch of question marks. And the way we basically left it with all of our boards is that everything is postponed. Other than, we do have some.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
All right.
end this one.
So we have a couple of subcommittees of the planning board that have been talking about continuing their work on the master plan chapters. So we're gonna be setting up Zoom meetings, which we will publicize on the town website, so that when they are meeting, we will have the Zoom available here, that if anybody wants to come in and sit down and watch it, rather than publish a public meeting. It's just easier for us to have a single point of entry, and that's what the law requires, is that we provide a spot where people can come in and basically listen to it. So we can have up to 10 people.
I have Stuart waiting to come in.
Oh, he missed it from when Josh was talking. He was supposed to be here with Josh.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see him because
Yeah.
it was all facing that way. So
So do you can you communicate with him?
I can't right through here.
Through that, you can send him a chat message. No, I probably couldn't find it right now. But you can send a chat to someone in the group. So if you type on Stuart, you can chat to him.
Tell him to call Josh.
Oh, you never admitted him to the meeting.
Oh, well, he's not in the meeting, yeah, so, he's. Do you just wanna,
Just email him and tell him to.
I can't, I gotta go upstairs and email him.
Okay, but you're all right, you can do that. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and email him.
Go upstairs.
Yeah, come upstairs, we're fine. And we're just talking about the schedule right now.
So we don't know what's gonna happen at the
Right.
next meeting. I think we have to wait until the point in time where the next meeting is scheduled and say, do we wanna do it this way again, or do we wanna do it?
Oh, let me tell you about how Zoom works. We had last night, we probably had 40 guys on our Zoom. Where people can come in and just you just post where the meeting is, and we send out an email, you just click on the link and you go in. And what the administrator can do, which could be Sharon or someone else, she could mute everyone but the board. Or if Mark is speaking, and then if someone wants to speak, she could hear them and unmute them.
And we actually, Sharon and I need to be here because the state law says you guys can, unlike where you used to have a quorum physically here, you no longer have to write under the executive. You all can be electronic. But there still has to be a room where someone can come in and physically sit down and listen to you. So we would run, basically Sharon and I would be here, but like Mike says, you might have 30 people listening to the meeting, and then Sharon can unmute the three of you so that we can talk. Right, and you can conduct the meeting.
So there has
So
to
that
be
we
a
have-
physical room, even if we ask everybody to participate.
Even if that's, there still has to be a place.
But people need to know that we need to keep that physical room to the number,
We
well,
can,
it's
well,
10
to
now.
whatever, to whatever it is, yes.
It's 10 now.
That's right.
Some
that's
places where they've taken it down to 2.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but we may get a change, we may get an extension of that executive order where everything is suspended, you can't have meetings, or it's all electronic. I don't know what that's gonna be.
Right.
They've actually done some electronic voting. It's something that they've never let us do.
That's big, these are big.
So,
changes.
so our next meeting, whatever it may be, would be
8.
scheduled normally for
8 April.
The 8th of April.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Second Tuesday. You just play it by ear.
Yeah.
So how we gonna do it?
absolutely,
Think optimistic.
yes. It's right before Easter.
There we go.
Let's see.
Moving on.
The next item is to review and approve the MS 232. This is the document that gets generated after town meeting,
That's
correct?
correct. Of the appropriations approved at town. I have the original here for your signature.
Get the phone.
You okay with it? Thank you.
Yep.
It's just one thing we have to sign, right?
That's correct, just that first page.
Conservation Commission vacancy. We just have
Yep.
an alternate.
So can we just enter that you motioned and approved and signed? Just, we'll put that in the minutes.
I have a motion to review and approve the MS 232.
I'll
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Yes, so Mike Fergal has resigned from the Conservation Commission,
You get a reason for that?
just for the amount of time that he's having to spend on the wigwag and
Okay.
So, we have one alternate, to the board, which is Danny. So you can move him up to full member, you can, do what, basically whatever you want as far as another appointment, if you have someone who's expressed an interest to you in the past, or we can wait, and they're not gonna be meeting for the foreseeable future, so.
I would suggest that we move Dan up and ask the Conservation Commission members whether they have somebody who'd like to recommend as an alternate.
Okay,
That's so, I have a motion to that effect.
I move, so moved.
All right. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Water, wastewater, trash use.
yeah,
regulators.
I'm sorry, but we are, the numbers for both trash, as Jim indicated, were up slightly. Our wastewater numbers, our sewer numbers are up by about 15% over last year, and about 13%.
When you compare last year, are you comparing last year to the week when the ski mountain was open, or last year is the week
I'm
after the
sorry.
ski mountain?
From March 8th to March 22nd. So the period from when we started the state of emergency to just at the end of last week, we are 14% over 2019, March 8th to March 22nd. Okay?
And that would have been while the ski area was still open.
They were still open for part of that period. That would have been about half of that period. They were still open.
This year.
19.
Last year.
Sorry.
Right? So the sewer numbers being up just year over year, you can have, a bad weather day, you could have, all kinds of things. So what we did was we then looked at the prior 3 years, okay? And as I put in your packet, we are up 14% on that number. Okay, so we're trending up on the sewer side, which matches the trash numbers being roughly up 5-10%.
Can I throw something else in the matrix that might be important?
Mhm.
Was the hockey academy running those weekends in the previous years? Because if hockey ended early, which I think it did, a couple of those years, that would make it, it would throw our numbers way up, because you'd have full lodges as opposed to having empty lodges.
Only for one day, because remember the hockey academy had only a partial term that first week of
Wait, but so I'm talking about comparative years. Did the hockey academy leave early? 'Cause
Oh.
I think they did.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when you look at the numbers that I put in, the tracking, did I give you that? Or did I hold it? I held it. And the reason that I held it, the problem that I'm having is that the water numbers are not tracking with the trash and the sewer. So our water numbers are actually down. And I'm trying to determine why. So it isn't like all 3 categories are up.
See if the
If they-
hockey academy was running those weekends.
Right, but even if we can figure out where the increase is, we still have a significant decrease in our water
I
consumption.
think people would be
And I
washing their
don't
hands
know,
more.
I know,
Why
Now we have a
every,
decrease in water.
That's
yeah,
not
and
me.
that's why it's not tracking.
That's-
And so we're trying to find out if we have a monitoring problem in the water department, But when I was putting this together, I did this initially because public safety was coming back and saying we have more people in the valley. Mike, when he was out doing the trash pickups, there's a lot more cars in the parking lots, et cetera. So we were trying to put some quantity to that. And we can for trash and wastewater, but we're having trouble with water right now. So I'll provide you with another report at the next meeting, and I'll do it electronically before then. But I don't know why the water is, but, and I'm not talking just a little bit down.
No, but
I'm
this is where,
talking a third.
this is why I'm
30%.
concerned with this, because water comes in, water goes out.
Yes.
Where are we getting the water to process if
Yes,
we're not getting the water?
Exactly. And so the other thing about the
Mhm.
wastewater, when I talked to Dylan, if we had a leak, right, that was, and we're talking a difference of like 700,000 gallons.
Right.
If we had a leak to that extent, then our suspended solids, the amount of stuff in the wastewater, would be diluted.
Right.
So that would be down. It's actually up, which tells us that the sewer water that's coming in is actually real sewer water. Okay, so it's not a leak. So we're trying to get a handle on it, and we're not able to solve it before the meeting. So as soon as we get that under control, we'll let you know what's going on.
Are the hotels which are open to guests or open to owners coming in, are they reminding people on the way in of what they need to be doing to keep themselves and their families safe?
As far as notices, and I don't know. We'll have to find out what they're talking about.
Right. Because I saw a notice today that the Golden Eagle was closed except for owners.
Owners, that's good.
And is the same true with the Black Bear?
That's good. So sorry I couldn't give you more definitive information on that, but we'll try to solve it.
The Northern Borders Infrastructure Grant letter, we sent that.
I'll only put that in for that discussion.
Informational purposes.
Yeah.
Okay. Transfer station, modified hours of operation.
Yeah, so we're seeing a drop off in the property management and their hours are reduced. I'm requesting that we modify the hours at the transfer station to match what Valley Property Management is doing right now. And that, because they're the largest group and they've been bringing in the most material, we can use Brad because of the scheduling that Jim is doing at Public Works. We can use Brad to augment those folks so that if we have a snow event or if we have work that needs to be done on an emergency basis, Brad can help out there. So I'd like to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you're all right with that.
All right, well, can we have a backup number for someone who we're not gonna be able to communicate this to? Who comes in to work in the valley, who's got a loaded truck?
Yeah,
And
well,
needs to get a hold of somebody
we'll
to
be-
get in
we'll-
besides the hour.
Yeah, we'll be here at the office. We can use the regular 4731.
Yeah.
730. 4730.
Okay, well, number 3,
Well,
water system.
can we talk about item number 11, the post office?
Oh,
Along
yeah.
with that?
I don't have that.
No, I added it
Add it in
because I had a discussion with Ann after
Oh,
I
11
did
on
the
the-
agenda.
right.
It's on item number 11 on your packet.
Got
On your packet.
Got it.
So we've been talking about reducing Ann's exposure because she's there the
She's the
whole
one that's
time.
most on the front line.
And she's on the front line. So we have two options that Ann and I have talked about. First, we talked about splitting because they have an 8-8-4 week in the number of hours that they're open, right? So we were talking about having Ann do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Mike do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they each would have 20 hours, right? Mike has not been in since the state of emergency started. Ann's been covering because we've kept him in reserve. He's isolated, self-isolated at home and, has minimal contact. In the hopes that if Ann got sick, Mike could come in. The Postal Service has told CPUs that they can go to reduced hours and they can close at noontime if we want. So my recommendation in here is that we keep Ann as the only one working, keep Mike in reserve. And we have Ann do 8 a.m. to noontime every day.
Okay,
Which would
change
reduce her.
Saturday, would change Saturday, because Saturday they usually close at 11.
That, or noontime or 11, whatever
Okay,
their normal half-day hours are.
So
Will
this is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they'll close at noon.
and usually
Well,
they
Wednesday's
close
good
at.
too.
at-
I mean, it already
at
is.
12:15.
It already is.
That's what
It already is.
12:15
Uh,
on Wednesday, yeah.
But she basically would go to that half-day schedule for the whole week, which will reduce her exposure, but still let us provide only one person being exposed from the staff standpoint. So that if Ann gets sick, Mike simply steps into that reduced hours.
Yeah, and we are deep cleaning the post
Where
office.
3 times a week.
a week.
Yep, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, and we have special hours for seniors that are before the mail is up.
Yeah, we will modify those and we'll make it 10 to 11 or whatever we need to, given that we're gonna close at noontime. I'll talk to you about that.
Okay.
Mike's okay with the current arrangement?
Yeah, because
The new arrangement.
he's receiving his pay
Hey.
under
Right,
our
right, we
current
provided,
plan,
right,
so,
okay.
Question.
yes, sir.
I noticed that on the days Mike work, Ann drives the mail in.
Okay.
What's gonna happen if Ann doesn't work? Does Mike have the capabilities of bringing the mail in? I think you need to ask that question.
I will ask that question. I was not aware that she drove.
Yeah, she comes in Saturday mornings with the mail, and I think she does Wednesday morning too. It could be size of vehicle or something like that.
Okay, it might be.
It's a question to ask.
Okay,
I think the easiest thing on the post office to have the same hours every day.
Yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
8:15 to noon every day, just
Okay.
8:15 to noon every day.
and. Good. So you're okay with that? So,
The only other thing we have is well number 3, water system project update.
so you have, I sent out the memo. I have hard copies if you wanna look at it.
Good.
You need one here? No. So again, just like the discussion with Josh, this is not a decision point as far as the contract is concerned. But this is clarifying the scope of work that Hoyle Tanner would do with the well 3 and water supply project. The reason that we want to make sure that we're not going to sign any contract until rural development, maybe in April, maybe in later, makes a decision on whether or not we're going to be part of their grant loan program. So at the very earliest, if they stay on their current schedule, we're talking about that decision coming back by mid-April. We then have to complete the income survey, which is going in the mail Friday. And then we have to get that data back. And then we would be in a position to know whether or not we're gonna be a grant town or whether it's just gonna be the loan. And then at that point, we would be ready to sign a contract. So that'll probably be sometime in May.
It
middle
would
to-
be worth reviewing for our studio audience,
Yeah,
what the income survey is all about, who's gonna be contacted, where is the information
Yeah.
gonna go, and what is the thing that we are trying to find out.
so currently, under the information that rural development is using from the 2010 census data, we do not qualify for any grant money under the USDA Rural Development Water Projects. Because our median household income, based on that census data, is too high. Right now, our median household income in town is $83,100 per household. We need to be at 66,500 or under to qualify for grant monies. We might get there or not. So what we are
But we
doing,
still qualify for
The loan.
we
for the
still
loan.
qualify for the loan,
low
we just
interest
don't
loan.
qualify for the grant portion. So we are we are conducting a household income survey, which will be a mailed survey, an envelope that you will receive in the mail. It has a one-page questionnaire on it that has several things for you to fill out. Your total household income and a couple of other demographic questions. These surveys will then you put the completed survey into the self-addressed stamped envelope, and that goes to a third party. It does not come here to the town. It gets mailed directly to that third party group that is preparing the data for us. They are approved by USDA to conduct this survey. And if they find that the median household income is different, whatever they find out is used by USDA as it modifies our median household income data.
And this is only full-time residents will receive this.
That's correct. It's only full-time residents. It's going to specific post office boxes. And it's gonna be, like I said, mailed directly back to them. And then they will provide us with a report on what our MHI is.
Is there a requirement under the survey that they have to get a certain percentage response, or is it whatever people decide to send in?
He says he uses whatever data gets sent in.
But I guess my question is, if rural development sees that we have close to 500 people and only 100 people respond, do they still accept that as indicative of the
I
town's?
believe that they
average
do
income?
because the company that is doing this has formulas that they use to extrapolate the data.
And this is by household too.
It's
right?
by household, yeah.
Okay.
So if you receive a survey, please complete it
Yes.
and send it.
Unless you make over.
well.
Michael?
Like.
Yeah,
It's a joke.
it's a joke.
It's a joke.
Okay.
All right, so,
Right.
so the idea here is you have the project memorandum. We need to, and I know you just got it, so it's not anything to look at, but I'd ask that you look at it before the next meeting and see if there's something in there that you question, why are we doing X, Y, and Z as part of this project, or what about something that you don't see? But this is basically all of the tasks that Hoyle Tanner used when they gave up, when they
Right.
did the option review and gave us the budget estimate. This is,
This is the,
The sketch to show
um,
path across the river.
so, yes, so there, I wanted to address that, Margaret, there's actually, when you look, there are 2 lines across the river.
Oh, okay.
There
I
are,
had to click on it twice to get those red dotted lines.
so there are 2 crossings, or 2 pipes in the same crossing. It doesn't
Oh,
show.
I see.
You
It
see
does.
it?
I see
Yeah.
what you're saying, yeah.
Because I call them with the
When
same
you
issue.
click on it, then
when
you
you
get.
double
You were
tap.
right, though, that the well 2 was
Is-
not shown connected to the building, but it is now.
Okay, and what about the downriver crossing?
That's one of the.
That's
the one
right
that's
here.
shown,
That's the one that's shown.
Ah, okay,
Yes.
I got you.
not necessarily to scale.
Right,
Right, it may be further down
Right.
the street.
What I thought it was. Well below the well 1 building.
Yeah, we're hoping it's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
down here,
mhm,
but we'll see.
okay,
Okay, and the crossing that you asked, the well 3, this is well 3 going into the pump house. So the red dotted line is the new line that'll be put in that brings the water from well 3 into the pump house. Then the water comes out, Margaret, right here. And this 8-inch line that's showing in blue
mhm,
is where the water will come back to the system and get sent across to the east side of the river,
okay.
okay?
Mhm.
And we'll use this line that's closest to the road until it fails and then go to the new crossing. Hopefully,
Alrighty,
that's the plan anyway. So look that over and I'll put it on the agenda for next time to take your comments. I would also point out that in Joe's memorandum, I think he mentions, no, it's in the email. So Joe went to a meeting at Rural Development this past, I think it was Monday when he went. They are talking about a new ARRA loan forgiveness program. So even if we don't qualify for the grant money, rural development is being told that as part of the package that just passed, that any loans that they have may qualify for up to 50% forgiveness. So there's still the ability for us to not have to
pay the full
pay the
shot.
full cost.
Yeah.
So,
Thinking about that, I think that on those tax anticipation bonds, I bet we'll be forgiving interest on those too.
that's
Yeah.
Part
correct.
of the bailout.
Right.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah. So the intent would be, once we're comfortable with this, once we get to May, that we would do the contract for the engineering as soon as we can, as soon as we know what USDA is gonna do. And the reason for that is that these projects that are gonna be given will try to get those plans done by the end of the year. If you look at on page 3 of the memo, the timeline, the schedule that he has here, I think it's really important that we get the permitting and the bidding done by January of next year, that we're working towards that. I mean, we may be held up by this whole thing. If at all possible, we keep on that
Okay,
track.
sounds good. Anything else before we go into non-public? Okay,
Thank you to everybody
Thank
who's
you to
watched our
everyone.
streaming.
be
Thank
well,
you, Jim.
stay safe.
There were 4 when I came over.
Okay, good.
Or what, people want?
People watching.
All right.
I figured out how to get it.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Bye.